Hello everybody and welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. This is episode 4 of our Let's Play series, and let's get right to it. So, we are sweeping up all this, putting it in the storage bins, because we are about to flood this area with water and build a lot of oxygen algae terrariums. Let's get this stuff going. We're going to have a lot of them. No reason not to. And we are going to build up, after these are done, we're going to build up a tile wall here and just let this flood with water from this line of water right up here. That will automatically be taken in by the algae terrariums, and they will start producing oxygen. And we're not in a desperate point for oxygen right now. We still have a really good amount of it, but we're getting to that point where there's some rising CO2 levels in places that we don't quite want them. And this will just be something that is necessary in the long run. The dupes will probably do a little bit of inefficient stuff at the start here, supplying these with water and algae and whatnot. That's not super important to me right now. I'm mainly concerned with sweeping up the stuff, but getting this built and then dealing with what happens is perfectly fine. Then we want to start digging down a little bit as well. Provide some place for the CO2 to go, and also start thinking about how we're going to tackle this swamp biome right here. The more I think about it, the more I think I kind of want to set up an airlock over here and just dig a little bit down. That way this chlorine can fall down, because this concentration is not huge. And then we're going to use this chlorine to disinfect basically this entire area. A little bit of work, but I think germ-wise it'll benefit us a lot in the long run. And it's kind of a convenient thing that we have set up here. We'll also want to start setting up some sort of ceramic production. Ooh. 2 visits remaining on these outhouses. Let's set up another outhouse right here. Set this at a really high priority. Do this before these fill up. Once they fill up, you start having an issue that you need to solve. And I just don't want to deal with where I'm going to compost stuff. I'd like to ideally get myself up the chain to actual restrooms before we start doing that. But, okay, so these are waiting delivery of algae. All of them are waiting delivery of water. That's fine. We have them all built though, so I think this is a good enough time to sandstone this up. And while we're at it, we are going to build sandstone tiles across here, and this is where we're going to stick our deodorizers. We don't need them right away. In fact, we won't need them for a while, but I think it'll be just good to start them up right now. We do have these shine bugs here, which otherwise would provide light if we don't close this off. Let's close things off sooner rather than later. And for a moment, let's just set the priority on both of these to 6. That way these sweeping jobs get done before we close everything off. Alright. We're also going to deconstruct these ladders right here. At least I'll deconstruct this one now and this one once these get built up. And we'll turn them into tile. Oh, I do have a hatch down here. A little unfortunate. Yeah, I unfortunately trapped this poor guy, and I think I'm just going to kill him for meat. Who is doing combat? Let's have Stinky do combat. Let's have these other guys just avoid combat. They're kind of weak. I want my big, strong Stinky to take care of this guy. Yeah, get him, Stinky. Get him. Get him, stinkers. Perfect. Okay. Let's also set this priority to be something like 6. Edible will include meat. Perfect. I suppose while we're at it, let's just take all these and set them to 6. Copy settings and shoomp. Setting set. And we do have one more thing to sweep, apparently. Grab this guy. Nothing else? Nothing else? Okay, perfect. Alright, so we're about ready to go with flooding this with water. And then all these algae terrariums will start producing oxygen. We do just want to get this last stuff built up, though. We want to grab this meat, because that's a decent chunk of food here. And we want to get this seed, because we're just really liking a nice, clean area. I don't even really need this seed. Yo, put the stuff. Ooh, people have mastered jobs. I should have noticed that sooner. Nisbet has mastered her research assistant job. We could bump her up to scientist, but she's really low on morale right now. We do not have the Great Hall yet, so let's take her off of this for now. And let's just stick her on Gopher. Gopher is just such a really great bonus to get. 400 kilograms to carrying capacity is a pretty big deal. And Bert, I think we're going to stick on Gopher as well. Stinky's going to move up the chain to Minor eventually. But Gopher is just really powerful. It's like you're basically tripling the carrying capacity of your guy, which is pretty huge. Even when they're builders, they're carrying building materials to whatever place they're going to usually. So let's deconstruct this as well. I want my meat. Get me that meat. Sandstone. Sweep this up. What are these people doing? What are your higher priorities? Oh no, someone used this toilet. Now I have to worry about the polluted dirt problem. Well, it's a little unfortunate. What we're going to do for now is we're just going to set up a deodorizer. Set up a deodorizer and just try not to deal with this for a moment. I also need to set up another wash basin, don't I? For basically the same reason. Slowly expanding this place out just so that we don't have to deal with the problems right away. Everyone happy about their new jobs, even though she goes back to doing exactly the same thing as she was doing before. They can reach the meat. I mean, let's just crank this up. In fact, we're going to set you to a 7 as well. Get that meat and get it out of here. And then we will flood this and get all this water just automatically delivered there. I think that's way more efficient than having dupes run up here and try and do stuff. We will want to set up oxygen or deoxidizers up here as well. We're not in a rush, but we do want to have this oxygen come out as normal stuff. Okay, so well done with that. Go and mine this out, and then let's set up some deodorizers. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So, have our Great Hall. Working on our decorating abilities. Yeah, artistic expression coming online slowly but surely. Furniture, soon we're going to have blank canvas as an option. We'll probably use that to get our higher decor item. We might need to do a few tries because we don't really have a dupe who's very good at this yet. But eventually we will get there. Alright, and here comes the water. Little soggy foot debuff right now, but that'll improve. Research complete. Does that let me see the next thing? No. Okay. So we have the pedestal to double decor of something. Ooh. Some nice fancy stuff from the new quality of life update. Hanging pots, wall pots. This is all nice. But we're probably not going to use any of these. I think we're just going to stick with some paintings for now. But those are some interesting options if we decide to redesign this Great Hall a little bit here. Oh yeah, all these algae terrariums are getting their their water. They're gonna be happy. They're gonna produce a lot of oxygen for us. Already we see this area just flooding with nice, clean oxygen. I love it. Oh, and we have a new duplicant ready. Choose me a duplicant. None of you have diver's lungs. You're all going turning back into goo. I mean, I don't know. Ren's kind of interesting. 7 athletics. Flatulent, though, is usually a pretty big disadvantage. So I don't think I'm missing that much here, but get out of here. We don't want you. Go away. Back into goo you go. So we have a couple that have not quite gotten their water here yet, but everything else going along swimmingly. Building lacks resources. Oh, yeah, sure. Makes sense. Idle people, huh? What else do we need to do? So we have our oxygen now finally set up. That's looking good. And we probably want to set up some actual decent bedrooms at this point. We're not that far off from there. I think mainly we just want to improve a little bit the airflow here. So I'm going to dig away this. I think we'll dig away this as well. Just so that we get the air diffusing down a little bit faster. And I think the other big thing we want to work on is sort of an expansion to our farm area. We don't have a whole lot of it right now. This is not going to be enough to support a full colony of dupes. Question is, where do we want to put that? Here is really conveniently located next to what is ultimately going to be the pantry. We'll need to research refrigerators to get our nice compact storage in the pantry here. But other than this, the question is whether or not we're going to locate a kitchen nearby or just keep the farms nearby. I think we do want more farms, and I think there's no harm in just sticking them sort of right off this area right here. We're going to have a little bit more buffer in terms of temperature because we're further away from this hot area because the base is a little lopsided, so we're going to have that work to our advantage. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. So let's have it be on the same level as the pantry. And let's dig out an area something like this. And we'll set up farms right here. We can take them down later, but for now I think having some farming spots, building up a little bit of a surplus is a good idea. Alright, so all of them have their water now. They're all chugging along, happy as can be. They even got some light from these shine bugs. So everything's going quite well here for the oxygen production. And that should take care of our problems. We do want to dig out a little bit area here, that way these guys can breathe, I suppose. Which does raise the question of where we want to set up, ultimately, the airlock that's going to lead to this biome. So, let's go down a little bit further, I think. I think we'll end up setting up the airlock around right here to get into here. That seems pretty reasonable. We do want to set up an airlock sort of over here as well. So I think we want to dig out some of this area. And maybe we want to wait a little bit until we get a little bit more... no, let's dig it out now. And we're going to just set up a simple airlock here. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sure, this works. And then we will set up our auto bottlers right here. We're going to fill up this area with water. In fact, we'll dig out this area as well. And we will set up an airlock right here, just so we can get out to this area and dig this out. We'll end up using it for other stuff as well, very likely. But for now, let's just set up a simple airlock. using water that we'll pump from here, and get these gases mixing, because I do want to use this chlorine to disinfect this area, but that's going to take a little bit of work. Just right up here to get a higher chlorine concentration, because this is just not quite enough at the moment. Not quite enough. We have a hatch. He's going to eat random things. I think that's fine with me. He's actually probably going to get stuck in one of these farm plots that we build. It's a little bit unfortunate. We're kind of killing off some hatches that we don't really care to kill off. Like, I don't mind them roaming around my base, making coal. This seems like a perfectly harmless thing for them to be doing. But, yeah. Let's get a few more farm tiles built. Don't need a whole lot of them at the moment. We're just expanding it just a little bit, just so we have a little bit of a comfortable buffer here. And let's set this to left as well. Perfect. Looking good. We'll probably need to crack open another layer of water relatively soon. This algae is just chugging along, but we're good for the moment. How are we doing on oxygen? Looking good. Base is filling back up with oxygen. This is getting a little bit pressurized, so we have so many of these. Because I've set up like airflow tiles here, once we have that researched, and get more of the air coming out. But then we need to work on how we're deoxidizing things. This is coming along. We have a solid layer of carbon dioxide now. We want to get this all filled up before we put the refrigerators in here. And that'll be our pantry type area. And let's just drain out some of this carbon dioxide here. Get this replaced with oxygen, that way that our researchers can breathe just fine. And copy this over here. Perfect. Yeah, see how quickly these terrariums go through this oxygen? But they will produce polluted water, and then that polluted water will produce more oxygen for us. So we ultimately don't need to use a ton of algae and water to keep these things going. Eventually they're just going to effectively electrolyze all this water for us. Nice low-tech way of doing things. It's even more efficient in terms of turning the algae into oxygen than the algae deoxidizers. I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit tricky because you are consuming some amount of water to turn into polluted water. Before they were a huge resource sink that really was not worth it. All you were doing was avoiding having to set up some sort of power apparatus to keep them going, which is not hard to do. You can just literally set up. We have one going down here to keep our research going. Not really useful in the long run, I found, at least with the old version of algae terrariums. But now, algae terrariums are pretty good. They're certainly working here. Stinky, our dedicated miner, digging out this area. How close are other people doing to their jobs? Stinky's almost 95% done, so soon we'll be able to cut through Abyssalite. We'll bump him up to the next thing pretty quickly here. Our research is doing pretty good. Yeah, everything is looking pretty solid right now. I'm liking where things are at. Man, these things do run through water pretty quickly, though. Eventually, though, it's just going to turn into polluted water. More oxygen for us. But, yeah, we see how much they've been able to go through. All of this layer right here was 700 kilograms of water, right? That is a pretty good chunk of water, all told. And now they're basically down to scraps of this water down here. Yeah, this needs more water. So we will need to dig out a little bit more here. I'll set it up so that we can just dig out one thing and be done with it. And once we get this airlock set up, I'm going to start with getting this gas diffused down here. That way, when we set up our airlock here, how much more can we go before we run into germs? Okay, so this is basically the limit. Ooh, jobs mastered. Stinky. Stinky, my boy. You're going to be an actual bona fide miner now. No more apprenticeship. I promise you. Buddy Bud seed, sure. So, let's set up an airlock here. Got this. Just like this. Not running up against... I kind of am, aren't I? Maybe I should have done this on a different level. Maybe. I don't really want it to abut these germs. It's not the biggest deal because this will be water, I suppose. It's slime lung. This is not going to be polluted oxygen at any point. I think we're fine with this being the way it is. Slime lung is really only dangerous if you breathe it in. And I don't think that's going to happen if we dig this out. Stinky's got his new job, and he's got his new stress to go with it. He'll start shooting up along with Nisbet until we get this great haul finished. That's just the way things are going to be. I think some nice resources down here, though. Granite will be useful for digging out and building our base and setting up all of our stuff. Need more water. Right. Dig that up. Another job mastered. Oh, nope, that was Stinky. I just didn't close out the thing. Alright, so, oxygen production, online, whole base starting to flood with oxygen. We're going to set up our an airlock here and an airlock here. And we're going to start going to work on this, We're going to start going to work on this swamp biome here. Getting this all cleaned out, getting the slime, getting it all disinfected. Yeah, things are coming along pretty nicely. Alright, I'm going to cut things here and see you in the next episode.